Hi, I'm Craig Brake and I'm from Driven to Obsession.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the car in the background.
The car you can see in the background is a Chevron GR8. It's a predecessor to the Chevron B8, and as you well know, the Chevron racing brand goes all the way back to the 60s with enormous amounts of racing pedigree.
How did you get involved with the project?
We stumbled across this Chevron GR8 just by chance. We went to visit Manor Park Classics and the car was sat there. Looked unusual, recognised the emblem straight away, but didn't know anything about the car. Obviously know a little bit more about the older cars in the past. And then the description said moulds and jigs available. So being an MK agent, dealing with the kit cars, it obviously piqued our interest. You know, we've got capacity to do stuff like this. We're doing it anyway. Let's see what it's all about. So that's where we got in touch with Sam and Roger at Manor Park Classics, and they put us in touch with Peter, who was arranging the sale. And from there, we'd done a deal, got the car, got all the moulds, all the jigs, bunch of spare parts, and here we are now, and we're looking to put the Chevron GR8 back into production.
So tell us about the spec of the car as it is and your plans to evolve it.
So, as you see the car now, it is in full race trim with license plates, flashing lights front and back. That's all that's been done to it. It is the suspension set up for race, all rose jointed wishbones, so it is a race car for the road. Now, the engine is a 2-litre YD Cosworth motor, tuned to 255 brake horsepower, running a Hewland JF 5-speed transaxle gearbox. Sequential shift, so it's nice and fun and it doesn't off go and it makes a lovely noise.
So I know you plan, as well as the racing, you plan to do some road cars as well, so how will the spec change for those?
So to change it from race spec to road car, we want to adapt the interior a little bit, so we want to make it a little bit more comfortable. We plan to evolve the engine, because the engine's 10 years old now, so back in the day it was quite a decent spec, but now it's sort of lacking on power, even though it's still quite capable. What we don't want to detract from is we don't want to make a road car that can go on track. We want to make a race car that can go on the road. So we don't want to detract too much from that, so it is going to feel a little bit raw. You'll have a choice of spring setups depending on what your comfort level is.
So how did you start out?
We started out with our own MK, and then through needing parts and so on, we got in touch with Neil and Sean, established a good relationship with them, and over time we got talking to them. We did some filming and photography work for them at Blighton Park, and we recognised that the brand had a good customer service background. We were happy with the brand, we were happy with the way Neil and Sean were, we were happy with sort of how the community was accepting MK, and we thought that they were missing out on having a dealership in the north. So that's when the conversation started in terms of demo cars and stuff to produce a car and then just use as a selling tool for Northern Territory.
So the plan isn't to sell this as a kit like the MKs, is it?
No, the Chevron GR8 is going to be a low production sports car brand, in keeping with what they were doing initially. The reason behind that is because we want to keep it homologated for race series. If we start moving outside of doing that and letting people do what they do, the homologation side just disappears. So we want, as I touched on earlier, we want to create race cars for the road and the potential to take them to tracks, MSA logbooks and so on and so forth. So that's the key with this, is to spec it. You've got flexibility within your specification, but there's going to be certain levels of homologation for certain race series.
And of course it's built in Britain.
Built in Britain and in the northwest.